It's Gourmet. Today I'm going to show you how to do a bruschetta, a pasta from scratch, and a tomato sauce to go with that pasta. So we're going to start off with the bruschetta. And we're using a bunch of cherry tomatoes. I have orange, yellow, and red pear tomatoes, and these ones here are a black cherry tomato. So what we want to do with these is we want to cut these up into quarters. Now that we've got all those cut up, we're going to put them into our bowl. We'll need one small red onion. Mine was quite big, so I just peeled it and cut it in half. Just like that, and get it into our bowl. Now we got our tomatoes and our onions in the bowl. We're going to need a few other ingredients. We have 2 cloves of garlic, about a clove and a half of garlic. Throw that in there, finely chopped. We have 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. We have 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Put this off to the side, and we have some fresh basil as well. You can either tear the basil or finely chop the basil, however you prefer to get it in there. What I'm going to do is just roughly chop it. Roughly about 2 tablespoons of basil we're throwing in here. Pick up some of these bigger pieces. Put that in there. And we're just going to mix it up. Those flavors all mixed around in there. And a little dash of salt and pepper. Like that, let's give it one more stir. Get all those flavors nicely incorporated together. And what you want to do is then we'll put a saran wrap on that. We'll pop it in our fridge until we're ready for it. Okay, so now we're going to start our tomato sauce. I'm just using a Roma tomato. You can use canned tomatoes, whatever you prefer. It just takes a little bit longer of a time to use the fresh Roma tomatoes. I'm going to start by just taking a knife and putting an X within the top part of where the stem goes into the tomato. Just put an X there. It'll help us be able to peel it a lot quicker. So we're going to do that to all our tomatoes. It's roughly about 1.5 pounds. Bounce me over to the stove and I'll show you what to do next. So as you can see, our water is boiling. We're just going to drop these in ever so lightly, roughly 30 seconds. You want to do this real quickly. We don't want to boil the tomato. We just want to get them in just to soften them up just enough to get that skin off of it. So as those are going, I'm gonna take that same bowl I was using and we're gonna strain them off in the colander when they're finished. We'll turn off our heat and then you can meet me back at the counter. Alright, so now we got them off out of the bowl. Be careful with them, they are quite hot. And take your knife again and just get to the top of that skin. Just break it right off, and all you're doing is basically peeling it, just like an orange. You know, it should come right off. But as I said, be careful because they are still warm. So, set it off to the side and we will finish off with the rest. So as you can see, we've gotten all the tomatoes now peeled and just down to the flesh. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our chef's knife and we are going to roughly chop the tomatoes. Get rid of those the stem pieces. It doesn't need to be too fancy. Just give them a nice chop right like that. As you can see, we've got them all chopped up nicely there. We're going to just put them back in our bowl for now. Set those off to the side, and I'm just going to quickly clean up my work surface. Alright, to continue on with our sauce here, I'm going to take one medium-sized onion, have it peeled, and we're going to dice that nicely up. So now that we have our onion all nicely diced up there, we'll just put that off into a separate bowl. Off to the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our pan ready to make our sauce. Throw that on roughly to medium heat. Let that warm up for a few minutes. And we're going to chop the rest of our herbs and stuff we're going to use. Today we're going to use a little bit of parsley, some fresh basil, and some oregano. So with our herbs there, we would like to chop them, doesn't need to be too fine, but make it enough so that it's not big chunks that you're trying to chew down into your sauces. So now we're going to check on our pan to see if it's heated up. Our pan feels pretty good there. So what we want to do now is we want to add about 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil to the pan. Just let that warm up. If it starts popping at you, that's just either water or other little particles within your pan. Just turn that down just a little bit. So just let it heat up. As you can start seeing a little wave, I'm not sure if you can see it, but as you can start seeing a wave within your pan. Just have that oil distribute, and we're gonna add our onions. Spread those around. Turn it down to roughly low to medium heat. Between the low and medium heat. We're going to add in 4 cloves of garlic. And we're going to crack some freshly ground pepper into there. And some salt. We're going to mix that around, and we're going to let it simmer for roughly about 4 to 5 minutes. So as you can see now, our onions are now soft and translucent. We're going to add in our tomatoes we chopped, just right into the pan. We're going to add our herbs, our parsley, our basil, and our oregano. Give that a really good stir. Let all those flavors incorporate together. And now as we have that all mixed together, we're going to let it simmer on medium heat until we're ready for it. Stirring occasionally. Alright guys, we're all set up here. We're ready to make our pasta. We've got roughly about 2 3/4 of a cup of flour. It's best to use a pasta type flour. Couldn't find it today, so I'm just using regular all-purpose flour. We got ourselves also farm fresh eggs, which are best to use. You can use store-bought eggs, but the darker the yolk, the better the pasta will look. So we just make ourselves a little well here with our flour, and we're just going to break 3 eggs into that flour. Right in the center of that well. They're off to the side. Then we want roughly a teaspoon of salt in there. Get that off, and basically now it's time to get dirty. Let's just break up those yolks a little bit, and then we're going to start incorporating that flour into the eggs. got this all mixed together, we just want to add a little bit more flour to our working surface. Just lightly dust it up, move that flour around. We're going to need about 5 minutes. Just work that dough real good. It's going to help with the silkiness of the pasta. Now that we've got that kneaded and all mixed together for about 5 minutes, we're going to wrap that in saran wrap, set it off to the side for about 20 minutes, and within that time we're just going to clean up our work surface and I'll show you the next step. Alright, it's been 20 minutes, so our pasta has been sitting. What we're going to do now is we're going to flatten it out. Get ourselves a pen or a cookie sheet or something, put some parchment paper or some wax paper down, and that's where we're going to put our pasta when it's ready. So we're just going to throw a little bit of flour down on our pan there, because that's where we're going to put our noodles when they're ready. We're also going to throw a little bit of flour onto our pasta roller. You can flatten your dough out like so. You don't need to be fairly thin, just kind of flatten it with your hands and your fingers. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it. You can use the whole thing and go right through the whole process. If you've never used a pasta maker before, I'll show you how to do that step by step. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut down about 1/3 of the dough. Roughly like that. We're going to flatten it in so that we can stick it into our pasta maker. And just to get it started like that, we're going to just slowly roll it through. And as you feel it come through, we're just going to roll it through. Every time you roll it through, you want to then throw a little bit more flour so it doesn't stick onto those rollers. So each roller, or each step of this has 9 steps. You start off at step 1, you roll it through the one time, you move it then to step 2. Put it back in, let the machine grab. Takes a little bit to get it to go. There we go. And as we have the pasta come through a little bit, remember to just catch it there and just roll it out. Now, depending on what type of pasta you're making, we're just going to make regular fettuccine or linguine style noodles. So we're going to roll it down to the thinnest part as possible. Remember, flour every time because you do not want it to stick to those rolls. And as it grabs, you can lay it down, grab that bottom, and just roll it right through. So now that we've gotten our dough all nicely rolled out, most pasta makers come with a cutter at the back. Make sure you get some flour in those rolls so that you don't have your dough stick once you got it in there. So get your pasta up there, just start it off. So as your noodles come out the back end, just help them through as you did with the rollers. And there you go. Let them break apart like so. A little bit more flour on them so they don't stick together. Just kind of break them up like that. let them sit roughly about 15 minutes. Within that time, you want to get your water boiling for your pasta. I have a pot already set for that. It's boiling away as it is. Make sure you add a liberal amount of salt in there as well. So if you find your sauce is starting to thicken up quite a bit, and it's starting to maybe stick to the bottom, turn your heat down to minimum heat. And what we're going to do is we're going to just take a ladle and grab a little bit of that salted water for your pasta and just add a little bit in there just to loosen it up. But make sure now to keep your heat on low, because now our sauce is pretty much ready, and I'll show you the final steps there. So what I did is I went out to the Italian bakery and I picked us up some rosemary focaccia buns. This is what we're going to eat the bruschetta off of. So just take it, cut it open. And I've talked to you about in the previous episode how I made my own garlic butter. Again, here's the butter. I'm just going to spread liberally a nice bit of butter on there. We're going to pop that in the oven under our broiler. Give it a nice toast. Alright, so now that we've got that in our oven, let's head over to the stove. I'm going to show you how to cook the pasta. So here's our pasta that we've made into separate portions. Grab a slotted spoon, just drop it in ever so lightly. Just let it go for about 1 to 3 minutes. So there's about 3 minutes. We're going to just pull it off the heat so that we can find our noodles. Grab some tongs. If you don't have some tongs, a pasta fork or a pasta spoon. Just lift those noodles up, pop them right into your sauce. Don't worry about any of that water getting in there. We want some of that pasta water to get in there. So what we want to do is we want to just stir that pasta around in our sauce ever so lightly. So now that our pasta is ready, we're going to bring it all over to the table here. And there you have it. That is our homemade pasta with a bruschetta. It's going to be real good. So join me next time on Infnit's Gourmet. If you like what you've seen today, please give me a like. Subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a comment down in the bottom. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you'd like to see me cook anything for you specifically. I would be more than happy to. Everybody have a great day, and I will see you again on the next episode.